Webinar started.
Great. There's some feedback happening here. Isn't it
Test.
on? It starts.
Is it just you?
Katie, I may leave.
Minka, what should we do?
Hello?
I'm going to try again. No.
No, we can't. Hello? I think we're good.
Great, thank you. Welcome to the August HRC meeting of the City of Palo Alto. I'm going to go ahead and call roll call. Commissioner Shea,
Present.
Vice Chair Kraus,
Here.
Commissioner Causey. Here. Commissioner Barr.
Here.
Chair Eberly here. Sorry, it's been a little while. We have public comment next. Before we start, I have something to say. In Palo Alto, we are committed to a culture of acceptance where all members of our diverse community feel included, safe, and respected. We encourage all speakers to honor these values and express their message without intimidation, discrimination, or language that disrespects any person. The public should know, however, that the Brown Act requires cities to accept public comment, and the U.S. Constitution provides strong support for freedom of speech. The city honors these rights, even if we strongly disagree with a speaker's message, unless a speaker disrupts the meeting or violates the HRC's rules of conduct. Minka, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have one online, and I believe the one in person, I put it there while you were troubleshooting. So why don't we start online? Aaron, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say that I understood. I was very interested in the campaign. One of the board HRC members was going to run for city council, withdrew her check. The check, I should say, that Julie Lithcott Haynes contributed your campaign. I guess you decided to find her guilty and morally repugnant and Jezebel or whatever. But I want to remind you, I've been reading a book over the last year or two. I'm slow. Zero Fail: The Rise and Fall of the Secret Service. You look at John F. Kennedy, and that man was sleeping with everybody, maybe even occasionally his wife. The book by Ms. Carol Lenning, Washington Post honored writer, points out that Kennedy was even bringing prostitutes into the White House, and the Secret Service was doing that. Not happy about it, but they were doing it. And then Bill Clinton, what did Bill say? I didn't have sex with that woman, but yeah, she did suck my. And Clinton, when he was, he was running, doing his jogging and hanging out at the YMCA, and having sexual affairs with women all over the place. And we know about Newsom. Newsom slept with his chief of staff's wife, broke up the marriage, and that was Newsom. And Schwarzenegger, well, he had a reputation for groping women in a variety of different things, and I think he got an assistant at the home pregnant, and that ended the marriage. So my point is, these white guys get celebrated. They become bigger heroes for engaging in this stuff. So now all of a sudden, a black woman. Look, I remember being 22, and I don't happen to be a gay man, and I had a therapist, a male, and he wanted to have an affair with me, and he was quite a bit older than me. But I said,
I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry. So hold on. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for putting me back on. So I was saying that you're going to judge a black woman who had an affair, a consensual affair, differently than you would a white man. And they're celebrated there for their behavior. So you will not be getting my vote. Your behavior is despicable, finding her guilty and when she was guilty of nothing. Bad judgment, maybe, but I'll bet you if we looked into your background, my friend, you'd have some bad judgment too. Also, you need to think about how you judge other people before you decide that you're going to lynch a black woman for something that happened 13 years ago that was consensual. Shame on you. I hope you lose badly, Kasi.
Next public comment.
The next speaker is Usma. Usma, you can come forward, please.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all after the break. I wanted to thank you all for unanimously voting to support the Juneteenth and Eid celebration. It really means a lot. Pastor Smith's not here, but he and Councilmember Julie were huge supporters of that. So yeah, thank you all for voting unanimously for that. I have three separate three things I want to talk about. I think I have time for all of that. The second one is, I believe you are discussing a work plan. I'm not quite sure if that's going to include the follow-ups on the listening sessions for the religious communities that you have. So I'll listen to that, and I know you can't respond to public comment, and see if it includes that, and then I follow up with email and reaching out to you all. The third thing I wanted to talk about is, as the Human Relations Commission, I feel that it's extremely important that you all have a diversity on your board. I feel like that's something that's lacking right now, even especially ethnic and religious diversity. So I would welcome any efforts to try to encourage City Council to also promote diversity within the Human Relations Commission. Because if you think about it, one of your missions is to make sure that, your main mission is really to make sure that everyone in Palo Alto feels included. So I think that you have to represent the people of Palo Alto and you have to represent the people who are marginalized and not included. And that, in my opinion, includes appointing people to your commission who represent diversity, who represent a voice that hasn't been represented before. And yeah, I welcome any efforts to try to get to that place so that our commission can be in a better position to understand the needs of all the people in Palo Alto. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving, there's no more public comment, correct, Minka?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, we're going to move on to agenda changes, additions, and deletions. Do any commissioners have any agenda changes, additions, or deletions? No? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to approval of minutes from June 20th, 2024.
I so move.
Vi-
Anybody second?
Second. Okay, so Vice Chair Kraus moves to approve the minutes of June 20, 2024. Commissioner Causey seconds it. We'll take a vote. Commissioner Shea,
Aye.
Vice Chair,
Aye.
Commissioner Causey. Aye. Commissioner Barr,
Aye.
Chair Eberly, aye. The motion passes. Minutes are approved. Okay, now we're going to move on to our business items. Are we doing public comments before each item? Or-
It's up to you, Chair. I mean, if you feel like you want to introduce the item and then have people ask questions, I think, but you could just introduce the item and then have public comment right away. That's up to you.
Okay. Our first business item is we're going to discuss the next steps of the HRC work plan. I have some updates regarding the plan, and then I'm hopeful to hear from our other commissioners on any ideas of how to make this work plan into a reality. So I'm happy to take public comments on the work plan, which was attached to the agenda, if there are any public comments on the work plan.
So if you want
And-
to make comment, just raise your hand or turn into a card to the clerk. There is one hand. Mr. James, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
And this is about the work plan.
Yes, this is regarding the work plan.
Okay, I have to admit that I have not looked at the work plan, but I bet one of the things that you're not discussing that you should be discussing is trying to nullify the city council's refusal to take on the ceasefire resolution. I want this council to rethink the issue. People are being killed, children are being killed every single day with the complicity of the US government supporting Israel. This genocide couldn't be occurring without the billions of dollars that we're sending over there every year. So I would ask you, if you don't have that on your work plan, that at least the Human Relations Commission, and I know you guys are all kind of, I don't want to call you puppets for the city council, because you're not. You're individual people, but you're not going to be likely have been appointed if you have strong views against the vile state of Israel, the terrorist state of Israel, and the vile state of the United States that supports and is complicit in the killing in Gaza and what's going on in the West Bank. So I think, if we're really a Human Relations Commission, you represent what people think about in the city, that you need to include that in your work plan. I'd appreciate it if you do that. And certainly any city council candidate that is unwilling to discuss their views on that subject and is unwilling to consider opening up the ceasefire resolution will not be getting my vote. Thank you very much.
There are no other speakers, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I think the easiest way to go about this is to just go through the work plan and provide updates or ideas. And I hope that you know which ad hoc subcommittee you're in, because I am going to be asking you depending on which goal it is.
You have that list
I
in
do,
front
I
of you
do.
if you all forgot.
Yes. So we're going to start with project/goal number 1, which is basically to provide funding recommendations for his RAP, CDBG, and the Emerging Needs Fund. And as that one is concerned, Minka, if you could just give us a timeline for those.
So, sure. So his wrap, that will start, as far as the involvement of the subcommittee, that starts when they start to review the applications. Now, we've also said that that subcommittee is also partnering with staff for looking at and assisting with the Human Services Needs Assessment. So I have been working with Commissioners Kraus and Shea, and I just provided them with an update today. So the CDBG, that will also be the start of a new 2-year funding cycle. So we have 2 members. So that sometimes starts earlier. So that might start sometime in the fall, depending on when planning staff can get the RFP out for that. An Emerging Needs Fund, that is once a quarter. So the first quarter one will probably come in sometime in September, and that reloads for $50,000 each fiscal year. So those are the items. So they're all, I think, well on their way. And since most of these are staff-driven, it really, just needs the commissioners to be ready when staff calls on them.
Thank you, Minka. And these are part of the HRC's core responsibilities, so.
Correct.
And a huge responsibility, actually. So as a reminder, for his rep, we have Vice Chair Kraus and Commissioner Shea, CDBG, Commissioners Barr and Causey, and Emerging Needs Funds, Commissioner Stimler and Commissioner Smith. Moving on to project/goal 2, this is part of the Inclusion and Belonging ad hoc subcommittee, which is Commissioner Shea, Commissioner Smith, and me. And we did conduct a listening session with local faith leaders to better understand their needs and the communities they serve in the spring. I can't remember which month anymore. Is it
It was in June, actually.
Is that summer?
Yes.
This past summer. So we'll be meeting in the next month or so to come up with next steps. And hopefully we'll we'll come up with next steps and then bring them to the committee as a whole, and then maybe city council.
And I've taken notes, and actually the Palo Alto Online report was quite accurate as far as a recap of the meeting as well. But I took notes that I could pass on to that subcommittee.
That would be great. Minka, I also did see the article.
Okay.
So I feel like that was a very successful listening session. The next one is yes.
A question, the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander report that was delayed at presentation to the city council. What is the schedule of that?
That just printed today, so you can look online to see that. That is on the 19th
Oh, darn. I'm
of
gonna be
August,
in-
right here.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Ireland, but.
Okay, well, you're lucky
but-
that you will be well represented by Commissioner Stimler and Chair Everly.
I want to let you know that I was invited to visit the Chinese Community Center that Albanitas has down at Cubberley. And what I learned is that they have one room for community meetings and a small office. There are hundreds of Asian citizens in the Mid-Peninsula who would love to participate, but they only have the one room. And so they would love to have more space. So that community is really constrained by the space in Cubberley, even though there's a sometimes vacant room right next to them. So I'm not sure there's anything we can do about that, but given that we don't really control Cubberley, but just be aware that what Pinky, who's the director, told me is that if they had more room, they could have many, many more Asian participants in the Chinese Community Center activities.
Thank you. I think that also reflects some of the feedback that we got during the listening sessions. Well, the listening session and the survey, but thank you. Okay, so the next item that we have is to revisit issues raised and recommendations from panelists at the 2023 senior learning sessions and identify next steps. We also need to meet on that one. I think we'll have to meet in the next month and identify next steps and then come back to the commission. I know Commissioner Stimler had done a lot of work on that, but she's no longer on this ad hoc subcommittee. There's no, well, yeah, we can only have up to 3 people, right, Minka?
That is correct, because 4 is a quorum.
Okay, thank you. It's okay, we'll take it and
We'll
move
funnel
forward
it.
with it,
We'll funnel it.
yes. Third one is continue the work done to create connections and learn about the lived experiences of community members such as the AA and NHPI, MENA, and Jewish communities. We also need to meet and talk about this. We are presenting to City Council on the 19th.
That is correct. So the 2 study sessions are right after each other. So I forget what order. I think it's the AAPI and then the listening sessions at the beginning of the council meeting on the 19th.
So we are taking steps. We're going to go present to council and then we'll go from there. But because they're study sessions, Minka, they will not have any, they're not going to have any action items for us, correct?
There are not, but if you look at the report, the recommendations from the HRC have been addressed by staff. So I will tomorrow morning, when it's all live, I will send you all a copy of the staff reports, probably live right now, but yeah, so I will send that to you in the morning and you will see the staff response to the HRC's recommendations.
Great. So
Yes.
I think Commissioner Shea, since Commissioner Smith is not here, that we'll meet, on these 3 items and then also depending on what, I haven't read the report, after our presentation on August 19th, we'll meet up and then come back to the commission with next steps and provide feedback on our study session as well. So that's what we're planning as far as that project is concerned. Next one is project/goal 3, which is convene a community meeting in 2024 to discuss hate crimes with representatives of law enforcement, city leadership, and experts in the field. And Commissioner Kraus, that's your subcommittee?
Yes.
Do you have an update?
I certainly do. We're trying to convene this meeting at the end of October. We've identified potential speakers and we're trying to lock them down right now. So the question is, should we do an evening during the work week or should we do a Sunday afternoon session? And that's a really big question. And I'm hoping we get Mitchell Park Arena, which is full of families and children, and so we can have a good crowd.
Right. Staff will just work with the subcommittee to look into specific dates.
No, I'm waiting for,
Right. That's what I was in touch with former Commissioner Savage, who is also working on it with the vice chair.
Correct.
And yeah, she'll be in touch with me as well.
yeah, as soon as we hear back.
Okay, great. But we're
Okay.
thinking late October.
late October, we're thinking 3 speakers representing law enforcement and city leadership. And we're hoping for a good crowd so we can have a real informative discussion among community members. That's our hope.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next one, project / goal 4. We have requested that I join the Mayor's Youth Mental Health Task Force, and they've accepted that request. So I am now a member of that task force, and I'll be representing the HRC on it.
Good.
I already got an email that there's going to be a Youth Mental Health Summit on October 5th. I don't think it's been advertised yet, but it's in the works, and we're going to be part of it. So I'm very excited about that. So that one, it's in process. Next one, project goal 5. This is continued participation by HRC members on a local RV dweller concerns committee, especially in light of looking for solutions to the loss of parking on El Camino Real and its effect on RV dwellers. Yes, Commissioner Barr?
How many people are aware of the message that came out yesterday from Megan Sweezy Fogarty that the parking will be excluded on El Camino Real as of September 3rd?
Yes, I think we all got an email and
Okay,
that they're trying to raise funds.
yeah, and they're trying to raise funds to expand the Gang Road parking site to accommodate 20 RVs. Although ironically, do you know where Embarcadero Way is? If you go out on Embarcadero and you turn down to get to the hazardous waste drop-off, that's Embarcadero Way. There are between 6 and 8 RVs there now.
I know.
So just there's a new home site, but we should be aware of this. And the question is there anything we as a commission can do in the fairly short term to help support the RV dwellers and their need for alternative parking sites?
Yes.
Mika, you know, I've had this long good discussion with you, but is there anything we can get from emerging needs for this project?
If Move Mountain View applies, it would be up to $10,000. I'd have to see if they're eligible. My thought is that we gave them the computers
I know.
a little over a year ago. So it's once every 2 years.
I know, and Eileen Richardson's already stated they didn't want to apply. They
Yeah,
didn't want.
it's hard. I found that in many efforts over the years, that if it's a joint effort, organizations, it's hard for them to apply because there might be a real need that their organization needs singly. But what you can do is help get the word out that this funding is needed. I will send you some additional information in the morning. I have copies of some of the announcements that Caltrans has sent out, so you have an idea of what those look like. And there's also a staff report that went live today that I'll get to you tomorrow that also talks about this issue, so you will see the what else the city is doing in relation to that.
Quick question. The last time we checked in, it was 65 RVs were the length of El Camino. This project, which with Mountain View moves, will that accommodate all 65?
No, it'll only accommodate what's available in the additional spots. I mean, there was not a scenario, unfortunately, where the 60 spots could be found. We are encouraging folks to sign up for safe parking programs that Move Mountain View operates in other communities or in other parts of the county. But unfortunately, there is not a solution right now for all 60.
And the
RVs.
children, are they being given
We-
priority?
My understanding is that in the outreach that we're doing, we are definitely messaging, having our partners message to families with children in the school district. We can tell folks and we can help them, our partners can help them through the application. But, not everyone wants to be in a safe parking lot. And a person who works with the unhoused on a daily basis could probably explain that.
I know.
But yeah, it's not the right spot for everyone.
It's just a deep sigh.
It's hard, yes.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Barr?
Regarding number 5, I wanted to go back to the prior year accomplishments, in which before I was a member, the commission heard from Avanitas about results of the CASOA survey, Community Assessment Survey of Older Adults, which I'm intimately familiar with because as an Avanitas board member. And just to recall that 44% of seniors in the Mid-Peninsula said that affordable housing is their number one concern. If you look at those earning less than $70,000 a year, it was 67%. So we just need to constantly be aware that the seniors in our community are having a very stressful time with affordable housing. And I just don't want this, it was last year's learning session, but I just don't want this issue to kind of drift off into the past.
No, and I think that that's an issue. We talked about cross-sectionality. I mean, that's one issue that can be taken by the Economic Justice and Development Ad Hoc Subcommittee as well, because it does deal with housing as well as inclusion and belonging. I think affordable housing, I understand it affects seniors, it affects families too. I mean, it's there's constant movement here of families being priced out and leaving, even though they would like to stay here, they would like to see their kids stay in the same school system, but are priced out and have to move. So it's unfortunate that that's the reality of living in Palo Alto. So I hope, we try to do what we can. So I love that we bring up these issues to the forefront. And yes, I would love to have some, concrete solutions to these
Yes,
problems.
let's just be sure we don't let things drift into the past when they are such an important issue.
Commissioner Don, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a huge community and a huge issue. And there's food instability. Because I know what we fund with the head start process. And there's huge food instability. So thank you for your work at Avanitas.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Or Vice Chair Krause, are you still going to the meetings with the RV dwellers?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like, well, you heard the update.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure, even though you're not in the ad hoc subcommittee, you're the liaison, so that
Yes,
was stated.
with Minka, my mentor and leader.
Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, moving along. And this is great because we're going to have to present the work plan, which now looks like it's going to be in September to the City Council.
September 16th, it got bumped from the agenda on the 19th.
Okay. Thank you. And I'd love to go to City Council to tell them, this is our work plan, this is what we've already done so far, and these are, our plans on how to make this real. All right, next one, climate change. It's another one of our project/goals. Determine the possible role for a representative of the HRC to play with the newly formed Youth Advisory Board. a formal city advisory board. So I'm part of the ad hoc subcommittee, and Minka and I met with the city's intern that was in charge of creating the youth advisory board and recruiting members. Is also the director of the Palo Alto Student Climate Coalition. So I think we had a really good meeting about ways that we could work together, but they're in the process of recruiting members. And I looked it up, and the deadline for, high school students, or it might not just be high school, maybe middle school students also can apply. I don't know if there's an age.
No, I
Um,
sent it to the Palo Alto Parents Organization. And as a footnote, I'd like to be a representative and liaison, given the work I'm doing professionally with State Senator Josh Becker on climate. So if there's room, I'd like to be able to add my voice.
we can take one more person in that ad hoc committee.
I'd have to, if it's working with the students, I'd have to check with, I think the ad hoc committee is one thing. If it's as a liaison to this group, I'd have to check with the city staff member that's doing that, because since it is working with students, that there just might, I don't know. I would just have to check.
Sure.
Okay. And we have, and they're still applying. The deadline is August 19th. And I don't know when they'll start having their meetings, or, when they get vetted. So that's something that maybe, Minka, you can keep us updated on the status of the Youth Climate Advisory Board. And then we'll go from there.
And I'll send it back. I'll repost it to the Palo Alto Parents Group.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Learning sessions, listening sessions. We had several last year. I think, so we put it in our work plan. And there are several ones that we could have. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but I think that there's real interest in having the Economic Justice and Development Ad hoc Subcommittee meet and come up with some listening sessions. Anybody from that subcommittee has anything to say? Economic Justice and Development. So Commissioners Causey, Stimler, and Commissioner Barr.
I think listening sessions are a clear next step.
Yeah, I would encourage, like any of the subcommittees, when you're meeting on any of the issues that the chair has asked you to give feedback on, that when you meet, you look at the work plan and you say, oh, what are the listening sessions that within our purview? Let's talk about that. What are the ones that are exploratory? So that you can kind of, discuss all three at the same time, and then come back to the chair and let, her know what might be ready to be discussed.
I might suggest that the issue of renters would be a potentially very valuable and important and interesting listening session. I know in the CASOA survey, I think 40% of seniors in the Mid-Peninsula are renters. And so the whole issue, when your Social Security goes up 4% and your rent goes up 12%, there's only so long you can stay here. So the issue of renters might be something to include in a future listening session.
Great. So I would welcome the ad hoc subcommittee to come up, with a plan to have a listening session.
And as a footnote, Commissioner Barr, the population is edging up to 50% of renters living in the city of Palo Alto. So it's a huge issue that the chair and I worked on with renter protections last year.
Correct. Couple of other things that I think were highlighted at our other meetings were utility costs. And I know I would love to have somebody from the city come talk to us about utilities.
I've already had that contact, so that is a possibility in the future. I've already talked to them.
Great. And, to come up with a solution for seniors who do have a hard time being able to keep up with these utility costs, have some kind of rebate from the city. I know the county has a rebate program. Maybe the city can do something to help. Also, the affordability of childcare programs. That was another topic that we talked about before.
And we should invite, and I think you're having discussions with Jane Kirshner, Jane Ginsburg, who is one of the leading childcare experts in the country. And I think you're already engaged with her or having discussions.
We are engaged, but to let you know that I'm staff to the city's Early Care and Education Committee. So they are also a very informed group on childcare issues and can be very valuable. I think if there can be a little bit of focus on what you'd like to know, and then I could see who the right speakers are, just to have a listening session so you really understand the issue, because this group works on it on a daily basis.
And I'd like to see Jane Ginsburg Kirshner maybe be one of our speakers. She's completely brilliant on these issues for the last 25 years.
Okay, that would be great. But Minka, is that something that the ad hoc subcommittee will reach out to you, or can I, as chair, talk to you about it?
I think for continuity, just for all of them, if it comes from the subcommittee, what you can do is, if you're agendizing this, or you can say, hey, I wish the subcommittee will consider this type of realm of questioning, or this is what I'm interested in. So you could state that now, you could send it to me. But just so everybody knows that, they've got their program areas, that's probably how I'd primarily proceed. But Commissioner Barr has just said something, so you are welcome to provide additional notes. But this was the agreed upon work plan that council has not yet approved. So I want to be cautious about, you can flesh out what's on here, but adding stuff, this has not been approved by council yet. So
Okay.
just caution you against that. So feel free to, I'm writing down notes for everything you all are saying.
Okay, great. Just one thought on the childcare. I'd be interested in knowing, I know, preschool family it's not childcare. It's a city program. It's a preschool.
Preschool family is, run by PAUSD, and it's considered a parent education program.
Okay.
Yeah. But if there are specific, if like in that program, you'd say, I'd like to have a better understanding of the different kinds of childcare. I've heard that there are parent participatory. What's the difference between preschool and nursery school? Those are questions you can really, give to me, or, what's happening with pre-K at the school district? How is that affecting childcare providers in the community? So you can think of these questions, and then as I work with the ECE committee, I can prep them into what you are hearing. These are some, really good leaders in childcare that are on the committee.
I didn't realize that preschool family was under PAUSD.
It is, yeah.
But I guess what I'm personally think we should be interested in is like the holes between, yes, you have a preschool program that's, I don't know if it's subsidized, but I believe it's cheaper than a private preschool that's not part of the district. And this is my assumption.
Yeah, I don't believe preschool families all day. So I think,
Correct, correct. So wait, but there's no all, what are the all day,
yeah.
you
we
know,
have
programs
close
that are
to 80
available?
Yeah, we have close to 80 center and family-based providers in the community. So there are,
But
it's a big group.
are any of them subsidized or?
Well, the city has each center, some centers have just raised money on their own to provide subsidies. They don't really advertise it. The city has a childcare subsidy program, and Palo Alto Community Childcare administers that. And that is a very substantial amount of funding that the city has given for many years to support low-income children and their parents' ability to work.
And I'm just curious, is that program like infant through?
Yes, it's
Preschool?
infant through fifth grade.
Okay.
Also be aware that Stanford University subsidizes preschool from like 6 months up to kindergarten for the kids of faculty
Stanford affiliated, yeah,
and senior staff.
right.
So,
And their representative is also on our ECE committee.
All right, thank you. But something for that ad hoc subcommittee to think about.
I just want to get some clarity. Do you want us to flesh this out before it goes to council or wait until council approves the work plan as is?
The work plan has been approved by us, so now I'm just gonna present it to council.
Okay.
But I want the subcommittees to start thinking about what's on the work plan and how, and start taking steps to make this into a reality and thinking about the issues that we've raised. And then reaching out to Minka so we can, once it's approved, especially, although, I mean, we're already working on the work plan. And some things are from last work plan. That's just a continuation. But yes, thinking about how we're gonna tackle, like, we've raised these issues, how are we gonna tackle these problems now? And it might be that it's a listening session for now. Or something else.
Do you want us to come to the next meeting with like saying our subcommittee has met and we have next steps?
Yes, that would be great. Yes. Yes. Thank you. All right, and then, same with the last one, which is more of a exploratory. It's lower on our priority list, but there are other things that we did bring up that we're interested in. So it's something else that your ad hoc subcommittee can start looking at. And that's our work plan. Any comments on the work plan by any of the commissioners? Or any questions? Thank you. We can move on to our next agenda item, which is discussion regarding Human Relations Commissioner site visits to Human Services Resource Allocation Process grant recipients. So as part of our job, every 2 years, Minka, correct me if I'm wrong, we're supposed to
That's
go to
correct.
visit the sites?
Yes,
Do you want to give a little blurb on it? Is it?
sure. So before, applications go out for the next period, we always like to do site visits of the historic grantees. That is really a two-prong approach. So commissioners go as just a very cordial, information, here I am, tell me what you do. Is there anything new in the last couple years? Then staff goes and we have more of a grant monitoring meeting with the grantees to talk about if they are or not compliant with, reporting or payment procedures. And we have those kind of discussions with them. We like to have it before the application goes out because after that, it feels a little odd having the visits, and we want that to be completely over. So what happens is I will send out a spreadsheet. So up to 3 commissioners can go to any any of the grantees, but since there's 22 of them this time instead of like 14 or 15, I would suggest, we're probably going to need you to go to 3. Unless someone really has a lot of time and can do a lot more, but to go to 3, it could be in person, it could be via Zoom. That is up to you. We usually like to have one of you designate yourself as the leader. So before this all starts, I'll send it out to all of my contacts and say, hey, expect an email or contact by one of our commissioners to set up a meeting, and this is the purpose of the meeting. So they don't feel like they have to get all their contract, information out for you to see. And then if like Commissioner Causey is the lead person to go to Life Moves, and then she will coordinate with the other commissioners that want to go to Life Moves and with the director at the local site to try to set it up. So that is what it is. We're hoping by the end of October, you can get this done.
Okay, so get it, when do you think you'll send out the list?
I can probably send it out next week, or I'll have Elena send it out next week.
And what type of report should the visitor submit?
There's no report for you to submit. That you just, it's just for your information. All of you will be on the HRC next spring when applications come in again. And if history repeats itself, it will be many of the same agencies. So it's good to be aware of the programs and services that they do, but also to show interest. I mean, you made a decision to fund these agencies, and they like to have you there to kind of highlight what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I got to see one building, I think it was Alta Housing. So I got to go and visit the building before it opened. So it's actually a lot of fun. I think it's great for them, great for us. And then what we did do, Commissioner Barr, was when we had our commissioner reports, as we would do these visits, the commissioners would come back to the HRC and just talk about the visits. So you don't need to have a formal report, but it's nice to talk about what you've learned, who you met, and how the visit went.
We'll have to remember that as well. It might be in a couple months, because that could take a significant amount of time with the amount of grantees that we have now.
Yes, and I think we need to make sure that all of them
Yes,
have
we need to
someone,
make
so
sure
that's gonna
that
be the priority.
someone visits everyone. I agree.
before we have 2-3 people going to the same place. So first we need to fill out all of them. And then if, people feel strongly about a certain place and 2 people can go there, but I want to make sure obviously every place needs to be covered.
Remind me, Minka, I thought there were 24 or 5 where there's
There's at least like adolescent counseling services has
Yeah.
2 separate
I
grants.
gotcha. I couldn't quite remember. They also had a very extraordinary luncheon in which they laid out their program. It was a big donor luncheon. Really, if you can go to some of them that come up on the calendar, please do. Sit there, they'll show their best and they'll discuss their programs. And it's really nice to see what our money helps to make successful.
Yeah, are there a list of questions that we can bring with us, or is it more of a casual conversation?
I think it's pretty casual.
I usually give them a heads up and tell them it's just a casual conversation. So, once you get there, or if you're online, you can say, like, if you know the program well, like, let's say, I don't think he will, but Commissioner Barr is on the board for Peninsula Healthcare Connection. So hopefully he doesn't pick them. But if he did, and if he went, he knows all the baselines. So you can kind of get an idea of what you know about the program already. And often it's like, what are you most proud of lately? Are there some new initiatives that you'd like to share with us?
Okay, so the site visit is not related to their grant funding. It's really
It
just.
is not
Okay, got it.
whatsoever.
No. Okay, great. So that's one more thing that we're going to be doing in the next couple of months. Now, can we open for public comment on this item?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. James, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so my family right now is, a good portion of my family is dealing with an unscrupulous landlord, and Project Sentinel has gone to bat for that, our family members. And I have had a lot of contact with the caseworker and also one of their staff attorneys. But the last note that I received was that they've had a number of people, critical people, leave, and that they're not being funded to an adequate extent. I don't know exactly what that means in reference to Palo Alto's proportional contributions to Project Sentinel, but I would hope that we would send 3 people to Project Sentinel and really, given this time when there's been, so many evictions of people, and then this, I didn't know, by the way, pursuant to the California Public Records Act, I'm requesting a copy of the email that was sent to you all, but apparently not to the community, regarding the RVs that are going to be moved in September. So Minka, if you'd take that down and pursue.
I'm just happy to send you the email. If you could get the word out to help raise money, Mr. James, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, and you could tell me who it was that authorized that email, and whether it's the city of Palo Alto, the police department, all of the above that are actually, responsible for taking this unconscionable action. And I would say, Chair Eberly, take a look at In Re Eckhorn, the application of the defense of necessity to a unhoused individual. And this is going to back up the courts with a lot of necessity cases. It's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And I can tell you, public defenders, prosecutors, judges, and juries really don't want to have the courts backlogged in these kind of cases. And so when they start to backlog and people are arrested, they're going to exercise the defense of necessity, I'm sure, along with a lot of others. But anyway, my key point is, when you go out to Project Sentinel, see just in how much trouble they're in terms of understaffing and lack of finances. And let's see what Palo Alto can do to keep that vital program alive. Appreciate it. Thank you. Minka, I look forward to getting that email. You have my email address?
I do.
Thank you very much, as always, for your help.
So if I can just respond, that Project Sentinel is not a HISREP grantee. They have a direct services contract with the city of Palo Alto. I do manage that contract, but they are not a HISREP grantee. I do meet with them on a regular basis. And as far as the project on El Camino, that is a Caltrans project. That is not a city of Palo Alto project.
Correct. I thought they would have started earlier than September, the way that the meetings went in the spring. I was surprised that nothing had happened, and now all of a sudden it is happening. So thank you, Minka. Okay, so we are going to move on to city official reports. So commissioner reports. Does anybody have anything to report? Any commissioners? Vice Chair Kraut?
Well, I've already told you the status of the safety, shall we call it symposium or meeting, which we're aiming for the end of October, unless there's a significant conflict. We'd like to keep it before November. So you've also, I think Minka has updated us on the needs assessment work. I don't know how much of that is public, and perhaps you can comment on that regarding HISREP.
What I can comment is that the as far as the needs assessment, the public outreach portion of it is closed, and they are working on secondary data review and investigation. Is our hope that at sometime in September, they'll be ready to bring it to the HRC. Preliminary reports will be shared with staff and the subcommittee members.
Thank you. Commissioner Shea?
Yeah, I'm the liaison to Project Safety Net. So in July, I reached out to Mary Gloner. I had several conversations with her last year. She mentioned that the staff is on furlough. So I'm going to be reaching out probably in end of September just to see. She said I could contact the board of directors, but since I've built a relationship with her, I will be reaching back out to her. So that's my report.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Our council liaison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to report on a couple things with regard to the situation with the RV dwellers on El Camino Real. I want to offer the perspective about how far we've come. A year ago, the city was using the land adjacent to Gang Road as a staging site for utilities or construction and was not excited about the idea of giving that land it was using over to move Mountain View. A year later, thanks to tremendous work on the part of staff like Minka Vanderswag and Melissa McDonough and Chantal Cotton Gaines and advocacy from so many others, including people in this room, and in partnership with Move Mountain View and Palo Alto Community Fund and Life Moves and other organizations, it's happening. It's amazing. The Gang Road site will be expanding, it looks like, and yet it's just 10 extra spaces to add to the existing 12. It's not going to be enough. There will still be people displaced from El Camino Real who do want safe parking, although we know not all are looking for that. And I'm confident that there are so many individuals and organizations who will work to refer those folks to the appropriate resources. And I want to acknowledge, even despite that, that many of us experience such anguish and pain at the thought of humans being displaced at all. So this is a tough moment of progress that is necessary but not sufficient. And so we just have to keep working, okay? And we all are. Regarding the NV cap, the North Ventura Coordinated Area Plan, on Monday, August 5th, Council did adopt a resolution implementing the NV cap, making further progress toward achieving 530 units of housing in the North Ventura neighborhood, including 15% BMR. There will be there's funds set aside for a 100% affordable housing complex there, as well as a new park to run alongside Matadero Creek. That process has been 7 years in the making. An effort that entailed so much community outreach, effort, sweat, heartache, disagreement. And I think it really is emblematic of how a city manages to get its work done. Not everybody is on the same side of any issue, and we reach compromises. And so that was the NV cap moving to that level or to that part of the process is an enormous accomplishment for all who have worked so hard on it. It is in a part of the city where we anticipate a lot of new housing. Right across from the NV cap area is the new El Camino focus area, where the city council has approved raising the height limit in Palo Alto to 85 feet so that we can accommodate more housing higher in the air. This is near Palo Alto Square and the old fish market and McDonald's. And we've also asked that we extend that area a little bit farther south. So further evidence that progress is being made, necessary but not sufficient. I didn't intend to have a theme to what I shared, but that's shaping up to be it. Buena Vista was on the consent agenda on Monday. This was to be our final approval of the plans to construct that apartment complex and to redesign the mobile home park. This has been an enormously long time in coming, led by Supervisor Simidian and the county more broadly, city leaders, housing authority, to really buy that land from that landowner who was going to displace everybody. And then for years now, folks have been hard at work trying to figure out how to move the pieces around to bring everything up to code and put people in homes that are suitable, more than suitable, are more than adequate, are homes that they can be proud to live in, and within the limits of space and various other constraints. And we pulled it off consent on Monday because there seemed to be enough concern remaining on the part of some members of the Buena Vista community that they're still not satisfied with what's being offered them. So there will be an action item this Monday so that folks will have an opportunity to be heard. And we are trying to ensure that the translation services for that meeting are the most generous we can offer, to be sure that everybody has access to English and Spanish, so that everybody can fully participate in this critical conversation, where if a person can't understand what's being said, whether they're on the dais or at this table or in those pews, if you can't intrinsically know what the other person is saying, you're really, not participating fully. And as with the circumstance with RV dwellers, progress is being made, and we have to keep going. There are inherently going to be people, I'm certain, who are going to be displeased with where that project ultimately ended up. A continual balance of, can we do as much good for as many as possible, knowing there are very few perfect solutions, which is heartbreaking for those of us who search and hope for, solutions that will benefit everybody. The final thing that I want to say, in case you did not read the news, the mural in 2020, the Black Lives Matter mural, caused some concern for some members of our police force, and a lawsuit was filed, and that lawsuit has been dismissed. And there's an article about it in the Palo Alto Weekly, I would say sometime over the summer. So if you're interested in that subject matter, which was very complicated and really pitted a lot of important questions against each other, I encourage you to look at the Palo Alto Weekly article to learn more about the situation. And that's all from me.
Can I just follow up? I don't know if you recall, on the Buena Vista Mobile Home Park, when the mobile home park was threatened with being shut down by a private investor, the city asked, well, who lives there? What are the demographics? And there was zero data about the demographics. Professor Amado Padilla and I trained 6 bilingual Hispanic students to knock on every single door in the mobile home park and get data on who lived there. So we got 100% demographics, including the fact that there were 120 children benefiting from the Palo Alto schools. And so that a little Stanford side effort had a lot to do with that.
Professor Barr and Professor Padilla in absentia, thank you for that effort, and what a lovely demonstration of the tremendous talent and will we have in this community. When people find out about problems, they want to be part of the solutions. I think it's a hallmark of the city.
Yeah. And do we know how many of the kids are going to be staying either in the apartments or in the mobile homes?
I don't have those data. I know somebody does.
Okay, I would encourage people to focus on that, make sure that they're still getting the benefit of the schools.
I think everybody is 100% committed to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Lithcott-Haynes. Minka, do you have a report?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. I think I already mentioned the 2 items on the August 19th agenda, the listening session and the AA NHPI report. There's also one more exciting one, that there is a correction to the Muni code regarding the HRC. And unfortunately, when you got bumped up to 7, it didn't change it in the Muni code to say a quorum was 4 people and an ad hoc committee was 3 people instead of 2. So that's being corrected. So if you see something regarding the HRC, that's all that it is. And it's pretty pro forma. It's just going to be on the consent calendar. There will be, if you are interested in the rental registry program, there's going to be a community meeting on Zoom to tell people about it. I know past meetings have really focused on landlords and such. This one will be August 22nd, 5:30 to 6:30. I can include that in the information that I send to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Minka. Okay, last item. Any commissioner questions, comments, announcements, or future meetings and agenda items?
I have what's on the draft, if you'd like to know.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, so planning department would like to come with the CAPER. That's the annual action report of what's happened with Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. They may also be bringing the work they've been doing on the Fair Chance Ordinance, which is, I know, a key interest of the HRC that came up on your discussions on rental housing. So the city, heard and, was and is working on that. There is, I'm not sure if it will come, but there was a group of Stanford students that wanted to come talk about some work they've done in regards to research on the RVs on El Camino. And there are some tentative items that I know I'm working on. Since I don't have confirmation from city staff, I'll just leave it at that. But there are a couple tentative items as well.
Yes.
Minka, I'm really excited about the unfair chance. We had one additional item on the renter's package that involved an inspection capability. What has happened to that?
Well, your report has not gone to council yet, so nothing has happened to that because when the planning department brought the whole series of recommendations to council, that was not something that the council asked staff to go forward
No,
with.
there were two additional that I
Yeah,
was
one was the
missing.
fair chance
Yeah.
and one was the other one. So
Was the
there is not
inspection.
further work on that at this point.
Minka, let's meet and
Okay,
figure that out.
okay.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
hold me
Thank
to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minka.
Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we are adjourned. Thank you so much. See you next
You
month.
did good.